Hey guys! Welcome back to another episode of Original Thursday, where we get creative every single Thursday here on this channel. Since so many of you guys wanted to see more easy watercolor ideas, I decided I will show you guys how to create these cute and simple to paint watercolor doodles for Christmas and the holiday season that you can use for your bullet journal, Christmas cards, for gift tags, or something else you have in mind. Let's start with some easy plants first. During the Christmas time, you can find a variety of different green plants and flowers, such as this simple branch with leaves or holly leaves with holly berries. I will show you some options you can paint. To create a holly leaf, you want to create this wavy zigzag shape that looks similar to a Christmas tree. I will create the outline first using green watercolor paint, and then with a little bit of water, I will blend out the edges to color the inside of the leaf. I find this way the watercolor doodles create a really nice pattern once the paint has dried. Another idea is to create a piece of a pine tree. Here you want to create a line first, and from there you can paint one line after another using more paint than water. Or you can also change up the green shade and slightly change the design of the first plant. Here I made the lines a little bit thinner and used a darker shade of green. Also, we will add a little bit more details to this branch later. Next to the green plants, we also have some colorful holly berries that we can paint. To create these, I will create a circle first and then blend the edges with a little bit of water while keeping one spot free of paint to create a small light reflection. You can paint a few berries that are growing on a branch or single berries, or you can also create a branch full of berries depending on the design you are going for. The last watercolor doodle in this category is a simple Christmas flower called poinsettia that looks similar to a star. And then you can add the same type of leaves that we created above it, or add all of them to make it look more interesting. Alright, let's move on to something that is a huge part of the Christmas holiday as well, and that's Christmas ornaments. You can basically create them the same way as the red berries. For the first design, I painted two circles next to each other but kept some space in between, and then blended out the paint with a little bit of water while keeping a white area as a light reflection. And then you can just doodle the hook and the string above these ornaments to make them look like they're hanging down somewhere. But of course, there's so many different ornament designs you can choose from. You can make them more oval shaped, just round, or in a complete other shape like a heart. You can create a stripe design, or you can also just create one shade, let the paint dry, and then use a white ink pen or white acrylic paint to add patterns on top of the ornaments. You can get really creative with it, so feel free to experiment until you find the design you like and would like to use for your Christmas cards. Of course, we also need some candy. The most typical candy is of course the candy cane. You can use the color of your choice. Here I'm using red and white, and then outline the shape that kinda looks like a hook. And from here you can create the typical stripy pattern. But you can also create other types of candy like a lollipop. Here I created a circle with a swirl inside using yellow watercolor paint, went back with a pink color and filled the rest of the lollipop. When it comes to watercolor, I wouldn't try to perfectly color everything. The painting looks so much better when there are bright and dark areas, imperfect areas, so just enjoy painting with watercolors. But you can also create a candy cane in a round shape. All you need to do is create a circle with the color of your choice, and then with the same color, you want to create this swirl shape by connecting all these stripes with the center of the circle. And to make it even cuter, you can paint a plastic wrap around it using a light shade of gray. You just want to outline the candy while leaving some space in between and then adding the ribbon on each side like that. Another idea is to create a marshmallow shaped candy using the color of your choice one by one, and then adding a candy wrap around it the same way as earlier. And of course, we can't skip the typical gingerbread man. Here I mixed two different shades of brown so you get a lighter and darker shade to make it look more realistic. And once the paint has dried, you can use a white ink pen and some more watercolor paint to add the details like the eyes and the buttons. If you want, you can also create a gingerbread house the same way. Here you can leave out the roof to make it look like icing, and when the paint is dried, you can use a white ink pen, or if you have white acrylic paint, you can use that as well. And outline the windows and the roof again, making the icing look like it's slightly dripping down the house. Another thing we can't miss out on is of course a hot cup of cocoa. Here I painted a very basic shape of a mug using blue watercolor and then added the cocoa using brown watercolor. And to make it look even cuter, you can also add some white marshmallows on top using a white ink pen or white acrylic paint. Alright, let's move on to something even more festive, and that's lights. To make the garland look cute, I decided to paint the string in this swirly shape, and from here you can add the lights one by one on each side. Again, you can create the bulbs in any shape and color you like. I went for a more standard version. And of course, a Christmas holiday also needs a Christmas tree, and I will show you a few different versions you can create. The first version is a very simple one, but it looks really cute. All you need is to create a swirl shape starting from the top and then moving downwards, while making the shape bigger and bigger, recreating the shape of a Christmas tree. And if you want to make it look more realistic, you can dab on the paint following the shape of a Christmas tree, keeping some areas white to make it look like the tree is covered with a little bit of snow. Or you can create a simple triangle shape with either just one color or several different shades of green and then add more details later. While these two trees are drying, I can show you another Christmas tree you can paint. Here you simply add several circles in different colors and sizes, following the typical triangle shape of a Christmas tree. And once the trees are dry, you can add some ornaments to the two other trees and reflections with a white ink pen to make the Christmas tree look even cuter. Another doodle idea is to create snowflakes. There are a ton of different ways, and I will show you a few simple versions. To create the first design, create 3 lines that cross each other in the center, and then add a triangle or a rhombus shape similar to the Sims plumb bob on each of the ends. And then you can add shorter lines in between and add dots or also triangles on top, however you like. The next design has a little more details. Here you want to create a circle first and then semicircles all around it, as if you want to draw a flower, and then add lines between each curve and add an arrow shape looking inwards like that. Or you can create several lines that cross each other again and then fill in the gaps with the rhombus shape. Here you can also change up the colors if you want, just play around with it. The next idea is really simple again. Here you just have to create lines that cross each other and then add these arrow shapes looking upwards on each line. From here you can just experiment and get creative with designing your own cute snowflakes. Let's move on to something more shiny like stars. You can paint the stars in a simple way, or you can also add even more details like simple lines all around it to make it look more shiny. Or you can also paint bells hanging down somewhere. Here again, I would paint the shape first, let it dry, and then add more details like shadows using a darker shade of yellow or brown. And of course, we can't forget about Christmas hats. There are so many options how to paint them. You can paint a simple Santa hat with the red and white part, or you can paint hats of elves. For the white part, I first used some yellow paint, but you can also use a little bit of gray watercolor and then blend it out with a little bit of water to create shadows. Another option is to paint Christmas stockings or maybe even earwormers. Whatever comes to mind. Don't forget to just have fun. The great thing about doodling is that you don't have to paint the image very big. You can just create tiny pictures of something you have in mind and then work from there. Also, we shouldn't forget about snowmen either. Here you can get really creative as well. I think with adding branches as arms, carrot as a nose, and 2 dots for eyes, and maybe a hat and a scarf, you can never go wrong. Another fun idea is to create different designs of Christmas gift packages. You can paint a simple square shape, and then you can add details with a white ink pen or white acrylic paint. Or you can create the gift package as a marshmallow. Here you basically add a stripy pattern like that, but keeping a square shape in mind. My other ideas are more random, but they help you to fill up your bullet journal or your cards. You can create simple swirls in any color of your choice, or a ribbon as a banner where you can write anything inside, Or you can create a cute wreath with green watercolor and then add berries to it, similar to the designs in the beginning. Let me know in the comments if you would like to see more doodle ideas similar to this episode. Give this video a thumbs up if you liked it and found it helpful, it will mean a lot to me. And if you're new here, don't forget to subscribe and to click on the bell button to get notified whenever I upload a new arts and crafts related video on Thursdays and on Saturdays. Thank you so much for watching, guys, have a wonderful day, and I will see you soon. Bye!